the car of my childhood. My older brother's buddy, got a new one for his graduation from high school in 1963. And mine's a 63. And I told him when I saw the car, I would have a 63 Morgan someday. And there it is. I finally found the car in Hemmings magazine, which is a motor magazine. And I flew to Florida. I was in competition with another guy who wanted to purchase it. And we were at the Hollywood airport. And I drove the car first time on the runways and the taxiways. But Mason and I, my son, we've gone to England and we've gone through the Morgan factory, which was established in 1909, and they've been producing these cars ever since. They produce a car much like mine today, with very little variance, on the same jigs, with the same wood, which is ash, and the same engines, many of them the same engines. So it's a thrill to me to have this car that I dreamed about from when I was a teenager and be able to run it today, about 100 miles a month. The factory was awesome. There are several hundred people who work there. Their families that are generational. Their grandfathers work there, their sons, their grandsons. Everybody is trained on woodwork, on metal work, forming metal by hand with hammers, on the machines that they do have. Some of them are ancient machines back to the early 1900s, and the jigs that they bend the wood with. It's astonishing that you can walk through a factory like this. If you ordered my car from the factory, my type of car from the factory today, you would expect to receive the car in about 5 years. They only produce about 400 or 500 of them a year. And so we walked through the factory, we saw each stage of a car build, just like mine. And the guy who was our tour guide with our group was saying things, pointing to me and saying, your car came off this line right here, and they worked on it just like this car is being worked on. So everything you're seeing was being done in 1963. We sat down at a table there in the Morgan factory and were able to have him pull out the archives for my car, which turned out to be a special car. My car, it turns out, was owned first by a Morgan director of the factory. And he was a racer, so he raced cars. So he bought my car directly from the factory, and off the factory floor, he raced it at various races in France and in England. And there's documentation of those races in a book that he was able to get, and I bought. So that was really exciting. And he came up with a yellowing card from 1963 to 69 that had the maintenance records for my car typed on an old typewriter, and I was able to take pictures of those things. So that was tremendously exciting to me. So it was a fantastic experience. After that, we went running through the Morgan factory when we left the tour, chasing him to tell him all this stuff that we found out about it. So it was great. You know, most factories today are almost pristine because they have robots and they have very few people, car factories, producing the cars because there's automation. So the smell you would get is a kind of a clean smell. When you walk into a Morgan factory, the Morgan factory, you smell wood and you smell metal because they're cutting and laminating ash wood, being sanded and cut on old saws, and you smell leather. There's a whole section of the factory where there are experts cutting and sewing any shade of leather and style of leather that you would want. What really hits you is it first smells like a wood shop. And then you realize when you go in that as the build goes, the entire frame is ash wood. So it kind of throws you off. Am I in a wood shop? What's going on? And you are. You're actually in a wood shop, and you're in a metal shop, and you're in a paint shop, and you're in a leather shop, and you're in a design shop, and you're in a museum. Part of the factory is a museum. So it's really wonderful. My name is Patrick Murawski, and my car is a Morgan 4.4 built in 1963.